Are layoffs going to continue happening? My thoughts are yes, but let's take a step back to understand why layoffs happen. Back before COVID, layoffs were pretty shameful for the company. It signified the company wasn't doing well and so it had to cut jobs. It didn't stop companies from having to do it, but if they did, they didn't want to announce it like they do now. I was in a company that went through layoffs pre-COVID and they wanted to cover it up in the past, like they wanted to bury that. Now, like I said, it was shameful because it didn't signify growth in some way for the company. I'm simplifying this, but when you're looking at a company, there's two ways to look at it. One is users and usage. Are their user numbers growing or are the users using the app more? Or if you're a more established company, is your revenue going up or is your profits going up? Now, COVID hits, and what happens? Because of government regulation, people have to start working from home. This was a golden opportunity for tech companies because tech companies allow you and enable you to work from home or do things in a scalable manner that you wouldn't normally do physically. So users and usage of these apps started skyrocketing. You saw apps like Slack, Zoom, they reached all-time highs. A lot of companies popped up around this in the automation space to enable working more productively. So many communication apps, productivity apps, task management apps. To support all of these new operations, companies needed to hire engineers to build features. They needed to hire product managers to look at all the user feedback and figure out better features and how to improve the products. They had to hire people in operations to support everything around it, and just a lot of hiring. This created a golden opportunity for people working in tech or to get into tech. So with all these new salaries having to be paid by companies, expenses were going up. But that's okay because users and usage was going up and profits was kind of growing. So CEOs could go to their board or their investors and say, hey, we're growing in this way on the users and usage point. Profit will come later. Once again, you can see that this concept of growth has come up time and time again. So once COVID got a little bit better and regulations and restrictions relaxed a little bit, we saw that a lot of the government support also went away. So the economy is taking a hit because people were no longer spending like they used to. So users and usage plateaued a little bit and companies weren't showing the same growth as they did in the previous year. So now the CEOs are sweating. They're like, how am I going to keep my job? Oh, I know. Let's cut expenses. If you look into the finances of many companies, one of the largest expenses are salaries. That mixed with a lot of people trying to get into tech who weren't qualified for tech gave a prime target for CEOs to go after. So the first wave of these layoffs were people that weren't really good at their jobs or people that didn't want to do their jobs. They were just kind of there for the paycheck. And you can't tell me that doesn't exist because you literally saw so many videos of people doing a day in a life and they're literally showing the food that they eat or doing yoga or something else random for like 6 hours a day and then sending out a couple emails. You don't see those videos anymore. And at this point, as you saw, company stock have reached all-time highs because their expenses have gone down, so it looks like their profit is going up. Once again, growth, if not on the users and usage side, then on the profit side. And now comes a critical point of development. Remember when I said that it was shameful for companies to go through layoffs pre-COVID? Well, all of a sudden, everybody's doing it, so it was no longer shameful. I swear to God, it's like all the CEOs got together and they had an agreement. They said, hey, layoffs are good. They're no longer shameful. So they kept doing it because quarter after quarter after quarter, everybody else was doing it and all the profits kept going up. And then all of a sudden, AI became a thing, even though AI has been around for a while. It just wasn't accessible until now. And then CEOs were like, hey, what is this ChatGPT thing? What is this LLM thing? We got to get in on this. Let's just throw AI all over our product, okay? It's going to skyrocket our revenue. Our employees are going to be 10x more productive at the snap of a finger. Keep in mind, these CEOs have no idea how AI works. They have no basic knowledge of machine learning. They don't respect it even, and they're just looking at it like a magic black box. So they thought they can just throw AI at everything and keep squeezing the life out of their remaining employees. And because of this, they're deciding to keep going on with the layoffs. So here's a fork in the road. For large companies, this remains to be true. However, for smaller companies, they are literally running out of money. If you know the startup world, you typically raise money and you have to show your investors that you're using it properly, and your typical runway is something like 1 or 2 years. So we're reaching the point where a lot of startups have like no money left, like they're down to the wire. These companies are going to start laying off even more people that do work to try to cut expenses. In the VC world right now, there's not a lot of money to give to invest. People are fearful, and so there's not a lot of dollars going around to give back to some of these startups. So CEOs are going to try to buy as much time as possible by not paying their fees to other companies, by cutting expenses, by just doing anything possible to extend runway. And because now there's less money flowing outwards and companies are dying, the larger companies who make money off of these smaller companies, their revenue numbers are going to start going down. And what does that mean? You got to cut more expenses. And what does that mean? Layoffs. Holy shit, this was a long video, but hopefully that kind of explains what I have in my head. Hopefully I was kind of coherent enough. But in conclusion, I believe that the layoffs will continue for the foreseeable future, at least in 2024. I'm simplifying a lot, but hopefully that was insightful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Bye.